Why this wasn't just in the, live letter for 7.5, I don't know, but we have more details about 7.5. So let's just get into it. First off, hi, I'm Eagle Falcon, variety streamer on Twitch, and I do a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. First off, let's just go over everything that's coming in patch 7.5. That was revealed at FanFest instead of the live letter for 7.5. I am still a little annoyed by this, but whatever. Let's just go. We have our patch dates. 7.5, of course, is going to be April 28th. We already knew that. This is in a couple of days. 7.51 is June 2nd. 7.55 is July 28th. Patch 7.56 is September 8th. And most likely 7.58. They don't list here, but there usually is a 0.58. That's probably going to be about a month later. Let's go over what to expect in each one. So first, actually, no, let me take that back. Let me first talk about some of the features, because I have this in an order. First off, one of the things they want to do is bring something we've been begging for forever, and that is cross-region party finder and duty support, or not duty support, duty finder. Okay. So normally whenever you queue up the duty finder or you open up PF to find a party for high-end content, you are restricted by the data center that you're on. So Ether only pairs up with Ether, Crystal only pairs up with Crystal, Primal only pairs up with Primal, and Dynamis pairs up with no one because there's a grand total of 7 people on all of Dynamis. It's unfortunate, but it's almost true. The new system that they're going to be implementing unites them all, including the party finder. Now the duty finder, you'll just queue up and then just go. This is huge news for Dynamis, because the biggest downside to Dynamis is the fact that you can't queue for anything because the population is so low. This fixes that. So now you have easy access to housing, and your duty finder now works. You can now also view the party finder from anywhere, and it does consume all entries of party finder, but they didn't say this specifically, but let's be honest, this is going to be how it's going to work. You have to be on the same data center as the person who posted the party finder. So if Ether is locked, you're still going to be SOL. It just is what it is. Like, I already had to go ahead this morning. It's a raid day today. I had to go ahead early this morning, transfer myself over to Adamantois because we're going to be raiding today, and we might have to go get people in Party Finder. And Aether's pretty much the only place right now where you can get people to join a Party Finder. Crystal, Primal, and Dynamis PF is basically dead for Savage. The only place to go is Ether. It just is what it is, unfortunately. So with this change, your party finder will be viewed by everyone. So I could post one on Crystal, stay on Crystal, and get the attention of people on Ether. Huzzah. Huzzah, huzzah. Will it work that way? It's hard to say. This is going to be introduced sometime during 7.5. The goal is going to be testing it first in Japan and then expanding it to the US, EU, and eventually China, who we now have to, which I forgot that we have to include China now in current up-to-date patches. They've been behind for so long. Now they're finally caught up. Korea will soon be that way too. So neat. So that's that. Very interesting stuff. Now, this most likely was supposed to be like a headline feature in 8.0, but they're trying to launch it early, first off, because why not? But also second, they want to make sure it's working flawlessly before 8.0, because there's a lot more stuff coming in 8.0, and they don't want to go ahead and also burden the team with perfecting the cross-world party finder at the same time. So that makes sense. We also got the reveal of the ultimate that is going to be Dancing Mad Ultimate. As the teaser showed for the 7.5 patch, it is going to be Kefka, and that's all we know. We don't know if the Warring Triad will be present. We do know that one phase of the Dancing Mad statue is there. We saw that in a tease, but that's it. We know nothing else. We also do know that is going to be on patch 7.51. So schedule your time off, World First Raiders. If you somehow learned from this video and nothing else, which would be really surprising, I'm not gonna lie. So to recap what's all gonna be where. Patch 7.5, the one's coming out in a few days. That is going to include the MSQ Part 1. It is going to include the new trial as part of that MSQ. It's also going to include Echoes of Vana'diel Part 3, which you're never going to be able to complete because the first boss is Shantoto. I'm sorry, it's just the rules. You can't beat Shantoto. That's just how it is. You're dead. GG. You're hoping for loot from there, it's not happening. Then patch 7.51. There, we are getting the new Cosmic Exploration of Oxia, the new custom deliveries of Taco Taco Taco. That is how I'm pronouncing that. Deal with it. And then Dancing Mad Ultimate. That is going to be on June 2nd. So World First Raiders, schedule your week off then. Good luck and happy race. I am going to enjoy it. July 28th is going to include patch 7.55. That is going to include the finale of our inconceivably further Hildebrand adventures. The Occult Crescent North Horn, including all the new jobs for that, as well as weapon enhancements for the Phantom weapons. That's going to be your best in-slot weapon for the expansion. A grand total of 6 months left of it. Kind of awkward, not gonna lie. Then September 8th, that's going to include the MSQ Part 2, and then finally Beastmaster. I also just want to say, Beastmaster being the last piece of content for Dawn Trail when it was teased all the way back in the Dawn Trail freaking fanfest is diabolical. Holy, you really went ahead and teased us this job way in the beginning before the first patch and made it the last piece of content. You f***s never do that again. I'm just saying, never, ever, ever do that again. That's insane. They also announced an expanded free trial. We don't know when it's going to be dropping, but the free trial will now include Shadowbringers, which means you need to update your macros to say, have you ever heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, which includes a free trial up to level 80, including the award-winning expansion Heaven's Ward, the beloved expansion Stormblood, and the epic expansion Shadowbringers with no restriction on playtime, with no ultimates. Update your macros. They also announced the Switch 2 getting access to Final Fantasy XIV. That is going to start happening this August. The way that is going to be working is that 1 month there's going to be an early access plan before the official launch. That cost is going to be free. The service will have to begin immediately after that, however. So you get 1 month for free, both as a gateway drug and also a chance for them to test to make sure that their integration with the Switch works. Unfortunately, that's where the good news for the Switch ends, because Nintendo is about the most anti-consumer piece of company right now, and they want their handful, and they are greedier than everyone else. So if you pay your monthly subscription for FF14, you can play on Windows, you can play on Steam, you can play on macOS if you really wanted to. You can play on the Xbox series, you can play on the PS5 and the PS4. By the way, the PS4 may not be getting support soon. Roughly, we are guaranteed right now that they're going to get support up to 8.3, but after that, Final Fantasy XIV is going to hit the software partition limitations of the PS4. What I mean by that is that the actual physical game is going to be so large that how much the PS4 allows games to take up on the hard drive might be exceeded and thus cannot run on the PS4 anymore. Oof. Let's be honest, it's kind of surprising PS4 support lasted this long. Even the Xbox One isn't supported anymore. So there is kind of that. Anyway, getting back on track. If you want to play FF14 on the Switch 2, you need a separate Switch exclusive subscription fee. Poof. Now, fortunately, you do not need to have the Switch Online membership to play FF14 for the Switch. if you have a subscription on other platforms, you are able to get a 50% discount to play it on the Switch. And keep in mind, this is the Switch 2. Clearly, this is not a move by Square, to be clear, because they were willing to go ahead and do not this for every other platform. This is clearly Nintendo wanting more because they felt they were better. Because of course they do. So I mean, that is pretty much that. That's where the Switch 2, that's where FF14 for the Switch 2 comes out. I'm not gonna lie, it's a hard sell for me. The Switch 2 is a very expensive console right now. And its price is probably gonna be going up, especially since they're refusing to adjust because so the Switch 2 price went up because of tariffs, right? They're refusing to take it down despite the fact tariffs are no more. There's actually a lawsuit going out about that right now. In addition, the cost of RAM and chip manufacturing is going up because of AI. So all those are going to be in short supply, and that's going to affect the Switch price as well, which they're also probably going to cite in their court case. So I mean, you're already talking about a $500 handheld console that's underpowered compared to every other console, with the only benefit being that it's portable, but it's Wi-Fi only, negating some of the usefulness of it being portable. I mean, honestly, if it was me, if you're able to get your hands on one, get a Steam Deck and just play FF14 on that. That's my personal opinion, because this is gross. This blatant greed by Nintendo is pretty gross. And that's pretty much it for all the 7.5 news. There is going to be other news, you know, as we move forward. We may find out more at the fan festival in Berlin, which, by the way, man, finding out more in the fan festival in Berlin was the theme of the fan festival in North America. Whoo boy! We're going to be talking about that when we get to the 8.0 stuff. But that's going to do it for me. If you like getting this sort of information, please give a like, please subscribe. I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.